Welcome to Providence Hill Presents Exit Stage Right with Martha Sullivan. This is the show where we talk about ways to build, buy, and sell your business so you can exit stage right into your next adventure and meet your financial goals whenever that time is right for you. Whether you are a business owner now, you own your own company, you aspire to at some point, or you are a kick tail leader in your organization. Here's where we're going to cover the business of business and ways that you can set up yourself and your organization for its best and brightest future. I'm Martha Sullivan and I'm your host. So welcome to Exit Stage Right. Thrilled to have you here today. So it's been a busy week in the neighborhood. It is, as I think about it, our neighbor across the street, whom we've known for years and years and years, finished his career on Thursday and officially retired. And then my sister, my older sister, of course, retired as well on Friday. Friday was her last day. So this weekend we celebrated some really pretty significant changes in folks' lives. And it was just really exciting to see and to be a part of these two dear people in my life that are shifting gears. And it was really interesting as I was, we had folks over and we're celebrating, watching those conversations between people asking the individual, so what are you going to do now? And there was, there's a twinkle in the eye in terms of excitement and thinking about opportunity and the relief of being done with what they were doing, and the responsibility that carries, of course, in our lives. And then at the same time, if you were looking for it, you could see a little bit of trepidation in terms of a little bit of fear of, well, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. In fact, one of them was like, I don't really have a clue, but I'll figure it out as I go. And isn't that really the way for all of us? Well, when you think about it, whatever phase we're in, we are, there's always a part of us that is making it up as we go, realistically, which I find fascinating, to be able to be a part of and a witness of, and also at our resiliency as we move from stage and phase to stage and phase. And I think that's because we're human. That's really what we're called to do, is to, even when we have a plan, even a well-crafted plan, we are called on to tweak it as we go and to pivot or swerve or shift gears completely as different things come up. The key to me is, especially in thriving in new territories that we go into, is understanding and accepting the fact that what got us where we are, what got us here, isn't what's going to get us there. Whether it's retirement, or maybe it's the sale of your company, or changing a job, those are all really, really big shifts in our lives. And so you plan for them. Sometimes you don't plan for them. Sometimes they just happen. And what do? You adapt. And sometimes in a hurry, sometimes it is a slow, patient transformation. But what about those little shifts? What about those times when you are indeed building and growing your business? The same is true there. What got you here to where you are today won't get us where we want to go. It won't get you where you want to go in the future. And if you think about it in terms of the size of your company, I think that's a really good way to frame it. I have one particular client that I'm working with. I started working with them when they were a very small company. I don't think they had even 10 employees at the time. It was the owner and his spouse and 6 other people in the business, working their tails off and having a fantastic time doing it. Now they're at over 50 employees, and they're still having the time of their lives, and they're growing their business, but 2 remarkably different places that they're in. And if the owners, the husband and wife, continue to think of the business as they did when it was the 2 of them and 6 others, they continue to think about the business the way and leading the business as they did then, as they are now with 50 employees, they could be in a world of hurt. And then I think about the growth goal that they have set for the company. And if I extrapolate that out in terms of people growth, they want to hit that goal, they need to be prepared to employ probably 200, 250 people. Vastly different companies, isn't it? I mean, think about it, totally different companies. If you worked in different size companies, you know what I mean. When you're working with that small, tight-knit group, 10, maybe 15 people, you are a posse. You are working and thriving together. Everybody knows that it's all hands on deck, and you look to the leader for direction, and everything goes to the grand poobah. So you're having trouble with a customer. What does the owner want you to do? You are having difficulty with a production process, or maybe getting materials, or you need to purchase a piece of equipment. It all funnels up to that one manager making key decisions, and the spirit of the team is really a function of the personality of the owner, and in this case, the personality of the husband and wife. Now that they're growing, it's harder for them, the 2 of them, to stay on top of everything. They can't. So as a company goes from, say, 10 employees to 50 employees, when they hit roughly that 50 mark, they need to really start thinking about building a structure in the organization to help them continue that growth. The owners can't have 50 people reporting directly up to them. They need help. The span of control that, it really makes a lot of sense is, anywhere between 5 to 8 direct reports in those key leadership positions. So, even at if the 2 of them split it down the middle, that would be 25 people each. It's just not tenable. And so I give them billions and billions of tons of credit. They have begun developing a management team slowly but surely. They've added a general manager, they've added somebody in accounting, somebody in marketing, somebody that's managing the shop floor, the whole 9 yards. They have started building their management team. And it's fun to see that management team evolve as well. You have individuals that are started with maybe a few people that they had reporting to them. If you think about production, they just had a couple people. Now they have many more people. And they're going to have to start thinking about, well, do we create shift leads, or how do we handle, now that we're running 2 shifts, how do we handle the guidance and supervision there? So even for that manager, what got that manager to the manager position, or to the owner to now the position of a company of 50, they both need to start thinking about what got them there isn't necessarily going to get them to the next level. They're going to have to learn how to delegate. They're going to have to learn how to understand how to read the different personalities in the room, and understand that not everybody thinks like them or processes information like them. In fact, we just went through a process in helping them understand the management team's decision-making profiles. I favor DISC as a tool, and we were talking about the fact that there are different personalities that come into play that you need to learn how to recognize the other person's style, recognize your own style, and figure out how you meet in the middle. And as a leader, you need to be the one to take the initiative, not necessarily expect that your coworker, your direct report, is going to understand how to best navigate challenging situations when the styles are different, and they usually are. So it reminds me of when I had a supervisor. He used to come into my door and say, call so-and-so, and he liked the Tasmanian devil. In fact, that's what I nicknamed him, was Taz. He would literally call so-and-so for me, and then he'd take off, and it's like, what do you want me to call him? I can come up with a wide variety of names. What would you like me to call him? So I would have to get up out of my chair, toddle over to his office. It's like, what am I calling so-and-so about? Can you fill me in a little bit more? This was really a twofold issue. One was the fact that he had this style that was like Taz. And I had the energy and the ability to keep up with them. I could make decisions and do things, but I did need a little more information, please. Just saying. And so what that turned into was also a matter of, we had to figure out his delegation style and in a way that would work for the two of us. Before he would zip off, I either had to pull that information out of him, or he had to recognize that he wasn't delegating effectively. He wasn't telling me what I needed to do, when I needed to do it by, and how that might shift my priorities. Do I need to call him right now? Do I need to call him this week? With everything else that we're doing, how does that work? Well, that's all a part of figuring out and understanding that what got us here won't get us there. Because if I keep trying to do the things that got me into that consulting role, because that was my first consulting job. If I think about what I did in my prior job before I got the consulting job, it was a totally different environment. I wouldn't necessarily have been as forceful in my old job as I had to be in this job, working with this particular Taz, and also working with clients. Took different skill sets, a different approach to work, a different approach to organizing my work. So anyway, let's go back to the other client. Enough about Taz. He was kind of a nightmare to work with. With the company that's now at 50, knowing that they want to get to 200, if they don't change what they're doing, they're going to run into roadblocks in terms of being able to bump up over that 50 mark, bump up to the 100 mark. And even after 100 employees, continue to navigate and build other systems of information and sharing that will allow them to continue to grow. What a 10 to 50 person company needs is different than what a 50 to 100 person needs. And then again, from 100, I would say, to 500, that's a whole other evolution. And then when you get beyond 500, you're talking about a different company entirely in terms of its needs and how it addresses risks in the markets and its workforce and the whole 9 yards. I think for us as leaders, the big takeaway is that it comes down to our willingness to let go, our willingness to delegate and empower and take calculated risk. And I say calculated risk because I think the risks become, as we move from phase to phase and stage to stage, the risks become more personal and less personal at the same time. Less personal because obviously as the structure grows, you're not as close to it, and you're not doing everything as you were when it was that posse of 10 and everybody was in everything, if you will. There is a distance that grows, but it becomes more personal because it really demands, as leaders, we pause and self-reflect on how we're going to um, need to change and be willing to change in our part. Letting go is can be pretty challenging, can't it? And trusting that it'll be okay, it can be just as challenging. And the temptation to take back, well, if I want to get it done right, I need to do it myself. Well, that might still work at 50, but it sure as shooting will not work at 100. Or if it does work at 100, trust me, it's not working at 100 because the people that you brought in to do the job are seeing you get in there and micromanage. And we all know what that feels like. And we all know that if we can get out of a situation where we're being micromanaged, we're going to do it. And so there are trade-offs. So I think it really does become, the risk becomes more personal because we have to reach deeper into ourselves and figure out, okay, am I going to trust? And am I willing to build the systems that will build that trust and those capabilities? So it's really in trusting ourselves at the same time to do the work that will get us to where we want to go. That's planning, that's setting up systems of accountability, that's developing our leaders, being agile, even in the face of those structures when something happens, and empowering your team to be just as agile. It really comes down to, I think, a leader adopting a mental framework and building a culture of change and evolution and transformation and kind of a can-do attitude. We can do this. We can push through this. And yeah, change kind of stretches us, and sometimes the stretch kind of burns, but we can do it. We can do it. And recognizing that sometimes we just don't know. My two close people that retired, there's a part of them that just doesn't know, and that's okay. To recognize that and give yourself the grace and space to figure it out, or give yourself the reassurance that you don't have to know it all by yourself. That's why you have friends. That's why you have colleagues. That's why you have peers, other business owners that you can meet and greet. We have at Providence Hill, we have an alumni community for those people that have gone through our Finding True Value workshops, to get together as colleagues and peers and talk through the issues that they're facing. Sometimes they're growing pains. Sometimes it's how do you get through the pandemic? All sorts of different discussions that come about. And you're welcome as members of the Win-Win Women community. You are welcome to email me and learn more about that community. We're happy to welcome new members. But the point is we can reach out to colleagues, friends, family, continuing education, other shows like on the Win-Win Women TV network, or pretty much anywhere on YouTube or whatever your favorite resources are for education. we can tap into those and we can learn and get the support that we need as we think about, well, what comes next? How are we going to stretch in this, whether it is that new job or building the company, going into new markets. Yeah, as we a recent conversation with the client that I'm referring to, we were talking about the growth aspirations and will their current product line support those product lines, I should say. Will the current product lines support their aspirations for growth? And one of the elements of conversation was, you know what? We're going to need to expand our lines. We are currently in this space, and this space. But if we really want to grow, we need to go beyond this set of products. And that's going to mean they're going to have to come up with new products. That's going to put new demands on engineering. That's going to put new demands on marketing, on sales, on research, on understanding what the customer wants and what's the natural evolution of the customer journey. Those are all new territories. And on the one hand, they're all going, okay, we don't really know exactly how we're going to do it. There was the excitement of charting new territory. And that's what, when I think about about creating Exit Stage Right, that's really what the heart of Exit Stage Right is about, is being in a position that you can look at what got you to where you are. Look at that career, look at building the business, look at that department that you developed before you move on to your next job, and have a lot of pride and understanding that you learned a bucket ton while you were there. And now it's a matter of taking that bucket and leaning on that to learn what you need to take with you and what you need to let go of. Because that bucket ton is heavy to carry if you're charting a new path. Not all of it belongs in that bucket in the new space. So it really is a matter of thinking about the opportunity and being prepared to exit stage right and look at whatever that next phase and stage is as a new adventure. So I think about my retirees, and I, for one, really struggle with the word retirement, because that really sounds like the end of something. And yes, it is the end of something. It's the end of working at that job. It's the end of that phase and stage. But my gosh, it is opening up the world to totally new adventures if you have the mindset to go find them. So one of the retirees is just a kick-tail bass player. He plays electric bass, and he is in either 3 or 4 bands. And prior to COVID, he was in 1 band. And over the course of the last couple of years, he has sought out and found other bands to play with. And one in particular is a relatively young band, especially age-wise compared to him in terms of experience and being in a band and playing live and all of those sorts of things. So he's finding himself a great opportunity to coach and mentor his bandmates in that one band. And in another band, it's just for pure get out fun that he is playing and jamming. And then there's the other bands that he's been in. So that's his retirement. He's channeling his inner teen, if you will, inner 20s kids, going back out on the road and playing music, which is what his passion is. And my sister is really looking forward to having time with the grandbabies, as well as various volunteer things that she's always wanted to do, but her schedule didn't allow her to do. And crafting her new adventure along those lines. So lots of different things that we can do. The key is that we're just thinking about it in terms of go with the flow, knowing that what the path that brought us to today was worth every step of it along the way, every single one of them. And as we exit stage right into our next adventure, we are going to design the new plans of action for living our best lives, as I know they will, and as I know you will, as you go forward. So that's what's on my mind today. I really appreciate you joining us for Providence Hill Presents Exit Stage Right. Today with moi, Martha Sullivan. Feel free to check out our webpage at www.providencehill.com. It's in my name if you need to double check the spelling there. And the other thing to be aware of is we offer, in addition to what we call our Finding True Value community, we have a couple of different workshop series. One is called Get a Grip, and that is a introductory workshop that focuses on understanding how the value of your business is crucial to marrying your business life, your personal life, and your financial life, and weaving those all together, and how the value of your business, how you can, which levers you can start to think about pulling. So that's Get a Grip. The next one starts in July. And then our Finding True Value workshops. Registration for the June class is closed because it starts next week. Well, I should say actually this week. So registration, unfortunately, for that is closed. The next one will start up in September. I think they're quarterly. So check those out. We would love to have you sign up for the next quarterly one. In Finding True Value, we do a deeper dive into what creates or detracts from the value of your company, things that you are making decisions on every single day and you don't realize that it will be impacting what you may be able to sell your company for in the future, and harvest or reap that nest egg if that's what your journey is to do. So, or it also, if you don't want to sell it, if you think about it being a family transition, what makes it attractive to the next generation to want to be a part of it? That's also part of the conversation. So those are our two workshops. I'm going to share the screen very quickly so you can see the, let's see here. So you can see the QR codes and our website address if you want to check those out. The other thing, lastly, is if you have ideas, questions, comments, anything at all that you want us to talk about on our next show, we welcome the questions. We all welcome the emails, and the email address is ESR for Exit Stage Right, ESR@providencehill.com. Thank you for joining me today. Have a kick-tail day, and we will see you soon. This is Exit Stage Right, where we talk about the ways that you can build, buy, and sell your business so you can exit stage right into your next adventure and meet your financial goals. I'm Martha Sullivan. I've got a really good feeling about this. Go transform your company and exit stage right.